The history of freedom of speech in the United States of America. What a topic, and what a complicated one it is indeed. I am not gonna start spinning wheels this time, I am just going to jump straight into the topic. For this video I will mostly be relying on a few websites, the main ones being First Amendment Center.org, LearningToGive.org, lawcornell.edu. The rest will be below. First, what is the First Amendment?
The First Amendment guarantees freedoms concerning religion, expression, assembly, and the right to petition. It forbids Congress from both promoting one religion over others and also restricting an individual's religious practices. It guarantees freedom of expression by prohibiting Congress from restricting the press or the rights of individuals to speak freely. It also guarantees the right of citizens to assemble peaceably and to petition their government.
Our first bulletin comes from LearningToGive.org. They talk about how in the Middle Ages nation building was about power, both militarily and political. At this time rights were not defended at all, and kings were able to do as they pleased and silence whomever they wanted, as dissent was outlawed. Essentially, as they put it, anyone who had a different political ideology were not humans and thus had no rights in the state, or kingdom, or whatever word you wish to use. People could easily be hanged, burned, or beheaded because of differences of opinion. Our second point actually starts in Britain. In 1215, King John was the center of revolt, whose citizens demanded rights not only for the rich and wealthy, but also for the common Englishmen and the nobles. This is an extremely important document you might have heard of, called the Magna Carta. Oddly enough, this also states that no one king, man, woman, or lawmaker is above the law and as such are punishable under it. Odd how we have forgotten this little fact in the current politosphere. The importance of this document was the fact it was a precursor to documents such as the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights. Third, the Petition of Right of 1628 was a statement that led to a legal reform movement, as well as a civil war, with the end result being the death of King Charles I. This set in law the basic rights and liberties of your regular Joe and lead the way to ideals held by American revolutionists. Fast forward, and finally we arrive in the United States, or at the time, the British colonies. In 1641 the Massachusetts court signed into law a quote-unquote, broad statement of liberties. What was in this was people's right to protest, as can be seen in the daily streets being enjoyed just after the 2016 election of the presidency. The statement about due process, where a person is required and must be given a fair and just trial and a chance to defend him or herself against the accusations of an accuser. Another important right in the democracy of the United States, that many places around the world are not privy to. 22 years later in 1663, we arrive at Rhode Island where religious freedom is granted. This becomes one of the most important rights held by any American, as well as future immigrants that come from all parts of the world. Religious freedom is granted and no government in the land is able to favor one religion over another, and is not able to punish those who do not follow their own. Oddly enough, I would consider cults to be added to this. Mostly because you cannot decide what people believe in. I believe in the flying spaghetti monster, praise be his noodliness. However, this is not the case. I think the only real difference between a religion and a cult, and I have heard this somewhere so please forgive the lack of a reference, is the fact that one has a living leader, the other's leader is dead. Moving on. In 1689, we get a letter from John Locke, a contributor to the ideas behind the American democracy. His letter titled, Letter Concerning Toleration, is printed, and provides a basis for George Mason's proposed Article 16 in Virginia's Declaration of Rights, and concerns religion and the freedom of religion. Now you might be asking yourself why I list points that deal mostly with freedom of religion, rather than freedom of speech, and it is a legitimate question. The reason is without freedom of religion one cannot openly practice their faith, and keep it in secret hidden from the public out of fear of retaliation from the establishment. The right of freedom of religion can be seen as a law against the censorship of religious views, and thus a law promoting free expression, and in turn freedom of speech. In 1735, publicist John Peter Zenger is tried for libel. For those that do not know, just like me before my last video, is the publication of a false statement detrimental to a person's reputation. Essentially, ruining a person's reputation with false statements. Again, it is amazing how we have forgotten this fact in recent years. John published criticism of a governor of New York. He was eventually acquitted, and this established a precedent among the court of laws, where a jury is able to determine if a statement or publication is an attack of a person's character out of lies, or if the statements are indeed fact and opinion. This does not say that a person is not able to attack a person's character or attack a person personally in attempts to ruin a person's image, only that the accused can be held not liable based on a jury's digression. It also does not say that it is legal to attack a person in hopes to defame that person. It is a complicated situation and one that I find hard to comprehend. As far as freedom of speech is concerned, this allows people to make statements regarding a person's character, without fear of retaliation, if they have facts to back it up. I cannot be going around telling people that you murdered someone, in hopes of ruining your life, without facts to back up my story. In 1776 the Continental Congress adopts the final draft of the Declaration of Independence on July 4. In 1787 and 88, the Federalist Papers were printed throughout the United States. As most should know, they were just a collection of essays by Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, and John Ray, trying to get states to adopt the Constitution. In number 84, Hamilton writes about the preservation of the liberty of the press. 1791 Virginia becomes the 11th state to ratify the Constitution, including the Bill of Rights. In 1791 President John Adams passes the Alien and Sedition Acts. Thomas Jefferson responded by passing the Kentucky Resolution, and James Madison passing Virginia Resolution. These just gave the ability for the states to determine if it will abide by the act or not. The Alien and Sedition Act essentially restrains the ability to criticize the seated president. From here on we move into the 1800s. As this video has gone on long enough and I am sure you all are getting tired, we shall continue this video in part 3 of the series. We also have the 1900s to go over as well as the 2000s. Combined with these, as well as some court cases I have found while looking at these pages, I have a big plate of what to go over, including my list, as well as moving past freedom of speech and moving on to censorship, privacy and anonymity. I think I will make court cases their own video as to not clog up the series, but we shall see once I really start reading them. I will state here that I am no lawman, so my interpretation of them might not be what they really mean, it's just something to look at. I don't know how long it might even take to get done the history, but I hope you will stick around and watch these videos. Remember to subscribe to see the next video. Also, in case anyone was wondering, I have no idea how long this series will take, nor how long each video will be, but I try to keep it under 10 minutes. And for the thing everyone else is wondering, the picture is from a game called The Mountain. It is just a mountain and that's it. It changes from time to time but there is no gameplay. Makes a wonderful background. I was thinking of recording it for a video, but I best not. Thank you for joining me on my mountain.